the CIA Global Response Staff operates in the shadows like no other. Aside from a few events, this entity has stayed out of the headlines and public for quite some time. While its specific tasking and scope of operations are classified, the GRS trains teams to work undercover and provides an unobtrusive layer of security for CIA officers and high-risk outposts. In a nutshell, you could say these guys are some pretty badass bodyguards for CIA personnel and VIPs. GRS operators are highly trained in a variety of skills such as surveillance, counter-surveillance, close protection, and weapons handling. Since the Global Response Staff is a highly trained protective force, its primary responsibilities are to map escape routes from meeting places, pat down informants, and provide an envelope of security. All while accepting the fact that if push comes to shove, they're going to have to shoot. One such instance that was highly publicized was the 2012 Benghazi attacks, which resulted in the death of 4 U.S. nationals, 2 of them being Global Response Staff personnel. Former Navy SEALs Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty paid the ultimate sacrifice defending the U.S. Embassy and compounds that were attacked that night. Due to the dangerous and intense environments that the GRS operates in, its personnel generally consist of former Navy SEALs, Rangers, Green Berets, Recon Marines, and AF Spec War personnel. Roughly 125 operators are working abroad at any given time and rotate through cycles of training and off-time back stateside. GRS operators are either full-time CIA officers or contractors who do a few months abroad at a time. Due to the level of risk that CIA case officers carry on their counterterrorism assignments, the Global Response Staff has become a critical component of conventional espionage. In fact, they've become so important that the CIA had to overhaul its top-secret and legendary training program known as the Farm to teach its spies the basics of working with GRS teams. Although the agency created the GRS to protect officers in war zones such as Iraq and Afghanistan, it has been expanded to protect secret drone bases as well as CIA facilities and officers in locations including Yemen, Lebanon, and Djibouti. The history of the CIA's Global Response Staff, GRS, is as clandestine as its operations. Established in the wake of escalating threats against U.S. interests abroad, particularly in regions like the Middle East and Central Asia, the GRS was conceived as a specialized force capable of providing immediate and discreet protection to CIA personnel and facilities in high-risk environments. Its formation was prompted by a series of incidents that underscored the vulnerability of American assets overseas, culminating in the tragic events of September 11, 2001. In the aftermath of 9/11, the need for a dedicated protective force became evident. Traditional security measures proved inadequate in the face of asymmetric threats posed by terrorist organizations and hostile actors. The CIA, tasked with conducting intelligence operations and covert actions abroad, recognized the necessity of augmenting its capabilities with a highly trained and agile response force capable of operating in the shadows. Thus, the Global Response Staff was born. Operating under the umbrella of the CIA's Special Activities Division, SAD, the GRS was tasked with providing protective security for CIA officers, assets, and facilities in high-threat environments. Unlike conventional military units or law enforcement agencies, the GRS was designed to operate discreetly, without attracting attention or compromising ongoing intelligence operations. The GRS draws its personnel from elite military units and special operations forces, including former Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Green Berets, Marine Corps Reconnaissance Marines, and Air Force Special Tactics operators. These individuals undergo rigorous selection and training processes to ensure they possess the necessary skills and mindset to operate effectively in the clandestine world of covert operations. Training for GRS operators is comprehensive and intensive, covering a wide range of disciplines including firearms proficiency, tactical driving, hand-to-hand combat, surveillance and counter-surveillance techniques, medical skills, and improvised explosive device (IED) recognition and mitigation. In addition to technical skills, GRS operators are trained in the principles of operational security, OPSEC, and are adept at blending into their surroundings to avoid detection. Once deployed, GRS teams operate in small, highly mobile units, often embedded with CIA case officers or stationed at sensitive facilities overseas. Their mission is twofold: to provide protective security for CIA personnel and assets, and to respond rapidly to emerging threats or security incidents. This dual mandate requires GRS operators to be adaptable, resourceful, and able to think on their feet in high-stress situations. One of the defining characteristics of the GRS is its ability to operate with a high degree of autonomy and independence. Unlike traditional military units, which operate under strict chains of command, GRS teams have a considerable degree of flexibility in how they carry out their missions. This flexibility allows them to adapt to changing circumstances and respond rapidly to emerging threats, without the need for extensive bureaucratic approval. The GRS's operational tempo is relentless, with teams frequently deployed to some of the world's most dangerous and volatile regions. From the mountains of Afghanistan to the streets of Baghdad, GRS operators have been at the forefront of America's covert wars against terrorism and insurgency. Their actions often take place far from the spotlight, with little recognition or acknowledgement of their sacrifices. Despite the inherent dangers of their work, GRS operators are driven by a sense of duty and dedication to protecting their fellow Americans and advancing the interests of the United States abroad. They understand the risks involved in their chosen profession but are willing to put their lives on the line to ensure the safety and security of their country. The importance of the GRS cannot be overstated. In an era of increasing global instability and asymmetric threats, the need for a specialized protective force capable of operating in the shadows has never been greater. The GRS fills this role admirably, providing a vital layer of security for CIA personnel and facilities in some of the world's most hostile environments. In conclusion, the CIA's Global Response Staff is a highly specialized and elite unit tasked with providing protective security for CIA officers, assets, and facilities in high-threat environments. Composed of highly trained and experienced operators drawn from elite military units and special operations forces, the GRS operates with a high degree of autonomy and independence, allowing it to adapt rapidly to changing circumstances and respond effectively to emerging threats. Despite the inherent dangers of their work, GRS operators are driven by a sense of duty and dedication to protecting their fellow Americans and advancing the interests of the United States abroad. In an era of increasing global instability and asymmetric threats, the GRS plays a critical role in safeguarding America's national security interests and ensuring the safety and security of its personnel overseas.